The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
After a round 6 event that was marred by off-track slowdown penalties galore, with the woes of Canada behind, we moved to the land of the rising sun. From Tsukuba Circuit and presented by Ricmotech, it's round 7 of the Advanced Mazda Cup's 2019 winter season. With 5 different winners over 6 races, today's outcome is anything but predictable. See all the action unfold like a poorly made origami swan live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing channel via the iRacing Esports Network. Konnichiwa everyone, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast streaming your way on IESN. Joe Peak joins yours truly, Bill Soups on, to bring you our bird's eye view. Sean Ambrose has director duties, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Joe, many times these little Mazdas seem undersized and not a good fit for some of the bigger racetracks offered by iRacing. For me, if an NX5 was Cinderella's foot, then Tsukuba's circuit is the glass slipper. Tell us a little bit about today's racetrack.
Well, and I doubt we'll see any drivers late to the ball for this week's race. This has quickly proven a popular track on iRacing, which should come as no surprise. It's shown up in other racing sims for years now, so most drivers were already pretty familiar with it by the time it came to the service. Add to that this is now part of the base content here on iRacing, and you could expect free cars like the Miata to turn up in droves. But there's a problem with big fields here. It's a mere 1.2 miles long, which comes out to a hair over 2 kilometers. There's little in the way of long straights, and despite the presence of 3 hairpins among its 12 turns, passing opportunities come few and far between. Expect qualifying to be a big decider in the finishing order, and if any of the faster drivers have a slip-up, they might get frustrated quickly being stuck behind a slower car. But we've got a Japanese car and a Japanese track, so I'm with you. There's few more fitting combinations on iRacing. In fact, let's jump on board the GSRC lap guide to see exactly what it's like to drive around here. All right, we've got Johan Vandenbeld in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Tsukuba. Down to turn 1, this is likely going to be the best place to make a pass. Everywhere else has its downsides and requires big mistakes to make work. With this being a hairpin, you'll want to square off the exit, and that brings us through the weaving bit of 3 and 4. It forces you into something of an awkward entry into 5, which is why, despite being a hairpin, it's really tough to execute an overtake here. There's lots of banking, so use that to your advantage. Immediately, you've got to switch sides to set up for 7. This corner looks simple from the outside of the car, but it tends to be deceptively tough to nail, as well as carry your speed through. 8 and 9 are simple, flat-out kinks that you sort of round out to make one long turn. And then you hit 11. This last hairpin is unique in the way it's tighter on entry and then slowly opens up on the exit. It makes getting the power down as soon as possible one of the more critical aspects of this track. And while it does dump you onto the longest acceleration zone down towards turn 12, it really doesn't offer you a good passing opportunity. There's very little braking into this turn because of how fast and long it is. Ideally, you want to set yourself up to get a better run onto the front stretch so that you can go on the attack back into the first corner. But hopefully you've now finished a lap around Tsukuba. That video lap, as well as everything on this broadcast, is sponsored by Ricmotech, the most complete source for all sim racing hardware. They have it all, from starter kits and do-it-yourself plans to professional-level gear and complete motion simulators. They can fabricate adapters, modification kits, and high-end hardware, in addition to carrying a complete line of specialty products from major brands. See it all at ricmotech.com. Bill?
Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the point standings now. Keep in mind that these points take into account the 2 of 4 drop races allowed for in the rules. To put it simply, It's each driver's best 4 of 6 results. Now, Robert Hartley won the first 2 races and has been at the top of the chart all season long, but as drop races slow his point total, the rest of the field begins to close the gap, the biggest closer being Travis Swenke. Coming off a round 6 win, Dory has moved within 89 points of the leader. Surprisingly, Dries Nice is not among the 5 winners this season. Nevertheless, the Belgian driver is only 2 points back of second. The hamster, Mike Dam, has a win and sits in, what would that be, fourth position, and his fellow Maple Leafer, David Paton, is well back rounding out the graphic. All right, Joe, let's talk about the event details.
Absolutely. We are in round 7 here, so we're now into the second half of the season. And there you see those 4 drop weeks marked by the 4 droplets. Now, today's race is going to be made even more frustrating by the fact that it's only 25 minutes long. So it's one of their sprint races with a place that lacks passing zones. So you can expect maybe a few errors being made by drivers getting desperate to make overtakes. The setups on these cars are open in the Advanced Mazda Cup, but there's not a whole lot that you can do to the Mazda. It's a pretty basic car, so don't expect too much speed to be found in drivers doing that. They have an incident cap of 17, and I don't think that should be too much of a problem around here today. They are disqualified, however, if they hit that 17 incident limit. And there you see the points are decided by the official points that they garner in iRacing itself here today. Bill, they also have no spare car. And well, this is a tight little track, Bill. That could actually come into play if drivers find themselves running off into the barriers.
Absolutely. I am really excited to do a broadcast here. These cars are a good fit. We've talked about it so far in the opening a few times. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the weather before we get to look at the qualifying.
Yep. Right now, we've got 83 degrees track temperature. It's late in the day here right now. It's looks like about 3:30 in the afternoon in January. So these drivers, of course, seen early sunsets here in the middle of the winter. So good conditions, not too much wind. These cars can sometimes be susceptible a little bit to the wind and a little bit of humidity. Basically, these drivers have it pretty good other than the passing conditions, Bill. So I'd say expect to see some relatively fast times here in qualifying.
Talk about fast times in qualifying on big tracks that are draft dependent. Qualifying not that big a deal. That's not the case here today. You want to get a good time. And up front, it's our point leader, Robert Hartley. But right behind him is the Kiwi, Gene Fittis.
Absolutely. And I'm noticing that I think we're getting a couple drivers that don't usually come in here. I don't remember Hironori Kobayashi, who sits in 8th, having shown up. I kind of figured maybe a track like this would maybe get a few quote-unquote local drivers showing up.
Absolutely. You would think a little home cooking going on. Also, Otto Flitzler in 7th position is a name I'm not familiar with, as we have, hey, Gene Fittis gets up to the pole. Nope, I'm sorry. Nope, it's still sorry. Robert Hartley didn't mean to get you excited, all you Kiwis out there. Travis Wallace does move up into 3rd, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's still got a lap to go. He's on a 102.3. Now expect to see relatively tight times here, which I do see at least between Wallace, Balouf, and Baloufet and Baton, but it's 3/10 between Hartley and Fittis. That's a big gap on a short track like this, Bill.
Indeed it is. Short track in a fairly large field of 25, as I think we had 50 drivers that cut those in half in splits.
Let's see what Wallace has up his sleeve. This, I think, is one of the trickier corners, this turn 12 here, because you really need a late apex. You can see him taking it right here, and doesn't quite get down to it, but I don't think he'll suffer too much. Let's see as he crosses the line. Well, he does improve, but it's only by a few hundredths. But that corner is going to make a big difference because it leads to one of the few places where you've got kind of a decent passing opportunity, and that's down into turn 1, Bill. So really making sure that you get a run off the corner is going to make or break things.
We have no Japanese names for these corners. The first the first 180, they call it 1 and 2. Then you go through the S's, that's 3 and 4. Then you get down to the left-hander 180, that's 5 and 6.
Then, of course, turn 7 is that probably one of the more basic corners, a 90-degree right-hander. But the thing about that one, Bill, I found is it's not as tricky in this car, but in a lot of vehicles, I found it's tough to get the most speed out of it. For this Miata, it's mostly just a lift, but you can still overshoot it if you get greedy. And drivers could lose it or get a slowdown penalty if they just try and keep their foot in it and head up to the kinks of 8 and 9 there. So that can cause problems still.
Took a few laps in it to get the hang of it here, and I was surprised. I felt like I was turning right a lot. The first 1 and 2 is a right-hander, and then the keyhole is a right-hander, and then there's that big sweeping right-hander at the end. A lot of right-hand corners. There's that 90-degree right-hander as well.
Yeah,
felt like I was on like a what do they call that? A Mobius strip that somehow I was doing right-hander, still made it around.
Well, it's a good thing that they don't have any pit stops out here, because I guess it would be very obvious if you had enough time for 2 tires which ones to take. So it's just going to be straight through today as we watch John White, and he's done for the day, and qualifying's done.
Let's give you the front row. It's Robert Hartley and Gene Fittis. Travis Wallace has a win. He's going to be inside of Joey Boulafay. David Paton and Mike Dam, another winner, make up 5th and 6th. Andres Bertoni and Otto Flitzler, 7th and 8th. Row 5 is Okay, let's do this one. Hironomi Kobayashi in 9th, and we'll go down to 10th. That's Aris Fiera.
Hironori, I think it is. Kota Miwa starts in 11th with Atsushi Maeda in 12th, and Matt Morris starts P13. George Fike will start in the 14th position. John White will be starting next to him in 15th. Chris Thorman in 16th, and Justin Cady in 17th. Tomas Hamarizak in the 18th position is followed by Jason Welch, and then Derek Holland winds up 20th. Bill?
Blackjack is Harrison Prokaska. In the double duck spot, it's Brian Zabelski. Adam McLeod behind him, 24th and 25th, is going to be Jackson Biard and Bradley Reed. There's your 25 drivers. Good luck to them all as we do round number 7 here in the Advanced Mazda Cup. Your points leader sitting on pole. That's that yellow and black machine of Robert Hartley. Still waiting for the number 2 car, Gene Fittis, to get out there. Always worried. There comes Gene.
And just to complicate things, look at this, Bill. They've got a curved start for a bunch of the field because of this standing start.
It is curved. At least it is level. There are no banking here, so we're still waiting for everybody to take their spot. I hope you got all your snacks and your drinks ready, because this is going to be a fast one. 25 minutes of intense racing here in the Advanced Mazda Cup Round 7. You can hear those Mazda engines begin to harmonize. You know what it's time to do. Gather up the chicken steak, cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn, and it is Robert Hartley out in front. He's being chased by Fittis. Fittis able. Oh boy, Fittis gets into him. Hartley's going to lose it, and Fittis is going to steal that position. Hartley goes off on the grass. He loses another spot to the second place driver. That's Travis Wallace. Hartley tucks back into 3rd. Rounding out your top 5, Joey Boulafay and Mike Dam.
We got a few cars in the mid-pack making contact here in 5 and 6. So far, everybody's got it, but not anymore. Andre Bertoni finds himself turned around, but so far the only victim of these close confines. When I take that back, we got a big accident happening out of 7.
Big one up front. That first incident was a long time coming. The next one involved Aris Fiera, the driver who qualified in 10th position. Good news is everybody's still racing.
I'm used to seeing that sort of action in faster cars around here because it's so tight, but I didn't think it would be that much of a melee in the MX-5s. But I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I definitely put the blame on Fittis for making that contact, but I feel like Hartley should have covered him off the line, because I really would have expected Fittis to try and stick his nose in there in the first corner.
Fittis goes a little wide out of 2. Hartley with a run on him. Now, Hartley was able to get that spot back from Travis Wallace during the first lap while all that other chaos was going out a little bit farther. Boulafay, Dam, Paton. Some more stuff going on. Fitzler involved in an incident in corner number 1. Matt Morris involved in it as well. Drivers getting used to this place, Joe.
Yeah, as much as they've driven it in other sims, a lot of times with other sims, They use it for hot lapping competitions. Not really known as much for racing around here. You can kind of see why. But look at the top 6. Bill, because of that incident that we saw, there's a huge gap from these top 6 back to 7.
Travis Baton, the last driver in 6th position. He has 5.7 seconds back to Hironi Kobayashi in 7th position. There's your front 6, and you won't see Kobayashi. Will you see him at all? There he is, just at the top of your screen coming in.
Travis Wallace sets the fastest lap as we go on board with Hartley here, still giving chase to our leader. I have a feeling that Robert's not going to feel too kindly about that contact in the very first corner, especially considering it cost him the lead.
That is working lap number 3 as he heads through down into this, what I'm going to call the keyhole here. It's even more of a 180 degrees. It kind of tucks you in us all the way around. Those 6 cars remained line to stern.
Yeah, that last hairpin, I think, is more unique than the other 2. Not only does it have that little bit of banking, Bill, and it go a little bit more than 180 degrees, it also opens up on the exit. So you really need to get to the power sooner than you'd expect. And Hartley is looking very close. I wonder if we're going to see a dive here into 1.
He doesn't do it yet, but what is interesting is Travis Wallace doing his best to hang on there. The driver in 4th, Joey Boulafay, Mike Dam, and David Paton, the drivers 4th, 5th, and 6th, trying to hang with these guys. I love this racing. It's been so long since we've seen one that isn't so heavily dependent on the draft. Joe, I guess there must be a little draft, right?
Just a little bit, not enough to really make a big difference. It's all on how you get off the corner. And we had a bit of a side-by-side battle between Maeda and Thorman. This was back for 10th place down into turn 1. Thorman managed to hold him off, but I think this one is not over because it is still very tight in this train of cars in the mid-pack.
Atsushi Maeda had a cup of coffee in the MX-5 World Tour, racing back there in 11th position right now, looking on the back of Chris Thorman. Justin Caddy, a name we're not familiar with, sitting up there in 9th, right behind a very familiar name, George Fike, sitting in 8th.
Yeah, and this is pretty much what I expect. Look at all the cars line astern. It's going to be a lot like this for most of the race until someone makes an error, and we'll see all hell break loose like we did at the start again, where everybody kind of scrambles and tries to make their move.
Look at that second pack. The front 6 continue to race in order. Joey Boulafay in 4th was able to hang close to Travis Wallace. He did not lose contact, so there are 6 cars, all equally spaced, about 2 car lengths apart.
A little bit of a side-by-side battle between Miwa and Welch. Welch on the inside of 7, but he's got to get the power down. Oh, and look at this. See what I was saying, Bill? Now they've got Hamirzak just behind them, trying to take advantage. You almost have to, and it's a chain reaction up the inside. Who is that? Prochaska. Wow, I think he just got 3 spots there.
That was some great racing.
Can we get a replay from Prochaska's view? That was as advantageous as it gets, Bill. Now, I don't think it was intentional necessarily because he went way shallow and broke super deep. But take what you can get. He made it work.
He gets hammer sack, and then he ducks on the inside. He picks up around Jason Welsh. And after he gets Welsh, then he sits behind Kodamiya.
It's like we got just the end of it on the replay there.
Miwa in 13th now. Prochaska back there in 14th.
Here we go. This is a great view. 1 car, 2 car, and then off the corner, not quite 3.
Looking up front, they are still in the same order, but I got to admit that Robert Hartley is peeking and poking on the back of Fittis, trying to find a way around. Wallace watching it. Boulafay, Dam, and Paton.
And they're putting a bit of a gap on Wallace now. He's got to start hustling and stay with these guys because he's forming a train behind him as well. Boulafay, Dam, and Paton could start to get desperate, and then they'll really lose touch with those 2 if they fight each other.
Been watching the racing line of the 2 guys up front, and Hartley is taking a wider entry in than than Fittis is. Fittis might actually be protecting the line a little bit, taking a little bit of a shallower entry. Hartley waiting a little while and getting a good drive off. Let's see what kind of a line they get here out of this little 180. Pretty similar there.
Yeah, but I think you're right in that observation. I think Fittis knows what happened at the start means that he's really got to cover himself off, because Hartley's a smart driver. He's not going to come away with that without having learned a thing or two. Ooh, and he's staying close now. This is close enough. That draft you were talking about will bring him in just those few more inches. And I think Hartley, from what we watched on board there, Bill, I think he's trying to square off the corners because he knows he also needs a run. And that's the good thing that these hairpins do around here, is that they give you many opportunities to really try and do a little bit of a different line and launch yourself off.
One of the great features of this 25-minute race is they don't have to wait for pit stops. They're racing right now. Anything that they do right now matters. And Hartley can make this pass and then maybe try to drive away. They continue. Those front six continue to work. Losing a little bit of touch now is David Paton back there in 6th.
Yeah, he's got the biggest gap of these top 6 cars. So he might wind up stuck in no man's land. We're already down to 16 minutes left. Now, the good news is that the laps are so short, that means at least 16 tries that they get to try and make a move. You know, George Fike has been holding on to the back of Kobayashi. And though he's not within attacking distance right now, I would be surprised if we do see something happen between these two. The 3 behind them also pretty tight. That's Caddy, Thorman, and Maeda. Is it Caddy or Katie, Bill? I'm sorry, haven't been there here a while.
He's new here for me too, but it looks like a single D. I would say that would probably be Katie, would be my guess. We'll go with Katie up there. There's a nice battle though. And look at Thorman get right behind him, and Atsushi Maeda watching back there in 11th.
Yeah, he's going to want to leave them a mule to ride here because Katie certainly has some pressure from Thorman. These are Blues Brothers. That's a good reference. Go ahead.
Nothing going on the front 6, so we're watching a good battle farther back.
Look at how close, and this is how frustrating it can get with these drivers as we ride on board with Justin there. You get so tantalizingly close, but because the speeds aren't very high, even though you're that close, you can't outbrake anybody. You got to be right up next to someone to try and have an overtaking move.
How about, Joe, why don't we take a quick moment and pay some bills and talk about Tripp and Dree's back marker shout-out. You want to go back and maybe talk about the drivers at the end of the lead lap here?
Absolutely. The first one still on the lead lap is Aris Faria. He is currently back in 21st, kind of on his own. He's got about... actually quite a bit of time up to the car head, about 7 seconds. Oh, no, not anymore. That was Bradley Reed we just saw at the side of the track, who is now in 21st. So swap those two around. He is now the last car in the lead lap. Brian Zabelski is currently sitting in 19th, way ahead of them as well, about 4 seconds up the road. He's trying to chase Otto Fritzler in 18th. There's about a 2-second gap between them. And then it's another 8, almost 9 seconds up to 17th. That's Jason Welch. He's got probably the biggest gap of the back cars here. He's at the tail of a train of cars. It includes the likes of McLeod in 16th, Hamrizak in 15th, and Pachaska, who we saw make that great move. He's in the 14th position. And that is mostly going to be our back markers here with the train finishing up with Miwa and Robillard.
There you go. And while you did that, there was absolutely no change up front other than the gaps. Let's go take a quick peek up front again. And it's still Fittis ahead of Hartley with Wallace. But look at this. Now Wallace beginning to open it up a little bit on Joey Boulafé. Dam and Baton making up almost a second train there.
Yeah, and credit needs to go to the likes of Baton to recatch this group. Remember how far back he was. So I thought for sure that he was going to drop off the way that he did before. I guess maybe a little bit of the draft helping him in places. Maybe that's keeping him in tow as he takes a little bit of a peek on the likes of Dam.
This is a fun race to watch. His passing is so important. We look at those 6. I can just report that Kobayashi and Fight continue to race in order, as do the next 3. We watch Caddy and Foreman and Miata. They all race in order. Passing is at a premium.
And I'm pretty sure most of the drivers expected it. And that's why I said at the start that even though I don't think Hartley is to blame, I do think he should have covered off the inside. When I came off the start, I would have been looking to see how close the car behind was. And if I saw that they were within striking distance, I would have chopped them off and taken the inside line because, like you said, it's so difficult to pass that Fittis knew he had an opportunity. He dove it in there. I don't think he meant to touch him. That's not Fittis' style, but he just had to do it.
No. Oh, he was trying to make a pass on the inside is Thomas Prochaska. Gets together with, I think, Kotomiwa.
Oh, no, it was Robillard. Robillard got tipped around. It was Miwa to the inside. And then in all of that, I think Prochaska maybe was able to take advantage. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it was 2 separate incidents. So the one we just watched there was Prochaska in the second incident into the turn 1 and 2. But this was kicked off in the final corner.
Absolutely. We go back up front. They continue to race as they were. Hartley still a car length back. And now beginning to get away from Travis Wallace. I think Fittis and Hartley, this might be I think Hartley's happy with the pace of Fittis. If they can make this a 2-car battle, I think they'd enjoy a 2-car battle and not have to worry about Wallace.
Oh, that's absolutely what they want right now. But Fittis has been having a little bit of connection problems yet again. That New Zealand wire seems to never be in the greatest of shape for Gene Fittis, which certainly doesn't help Hartley here because he's got to pick his passes carefully.
Hartley is on him. Hartley already has 2 wins this season. He opened with them.
And the other thing is, because this race split, there's a little bit more on the line here with the strength of field being a little bit higher if it had been a single split, Bill. So I think when it gets to the end, drivers going to be a little bit anxious, even for single positions. It's 2,700 here today for the average. Ooh, we got a battle in the top group. That's Boulafé.
On the outside trying to make a move is Mike Dam, and now he has the preferred line, and he's going to get it done. Move Dam up into 4th.
Oh, Baton smelled blood, and again, drivers trying to take advantage as soon as something erupts. But that contact this time did not happen like we saw at the very first corner between our leaders. Boulafé held onto it. That was beautiful on his part.
One of the only passes we've seen so far as Fittis comes around the final corner, crosses the start finish line.
We had an accident to Maz from Rizak. And
he got
started with himself. Yep.
Yeah, Kotomiwa. And what's fun, Kotomiwa, and we can watch Koto, that's probably the more exciting car to watch, as he spins through the grass and comes right out in front of traffic, right in front of Jason Welch. He does a good job of getting around him.
Oh, yeah. God, that was so close that we had a second incident. Spins it across the track. And Koda initially made the right choice, just didn't expect that car to snap the way it did. Koda then takes a tow, sadly.
Just under 9 minutes of racing to go. It continues to be Fittis and Hartley. They've opened up a 1.2-second lead on Wallace, who races by himself. Now Dam has got around Boulafé and is starting to come on the back of Wallace. The hamster, Mike Dam, looking for a podium spot.
So where did this nickname come from, Bill? Because I haven't heard this one on Dam.
Mike the Hamsterdam.
Okay, that's a good one. I dig that one. But yeah, he's starting to get closer. Oh, but that's not going to help. A little bit of an off coming out of turn 2. He can still recover. But yeah, this is where he wants to try to put that pressure on, because Wallace is all by himself at this point with the gap that he's losing to Hartley. So now he can really try to go on the attack.
That battle continues for up front. We're going to jump back real quick and look at this battle between Kobayashi and Fike. The sheriff continues to work on him. He's lost a little gap now. He was just right on his tail a moment ago.
Right on board with Kobayashi.
Gotta go up front.
Yep, to the lead. I think there's a pass attempt. It's into turn 12. Usually you don't see that, Bill. There's so little braking into there, and it didn't quite work.
Took a stab at it, maybe. Seeing and learning a little bit.
I wonder if he was trying to catch him by surprise. Like I said, it's not often that you see attempts made into there, let alone actual successful passes. So Hartley may be trying to think outside the box and catch him unawares.
Well, with lap times of about a minute and about 6.5 to race, he's not going to get that many chances at his favorite passing spot. So now things are going to heat up a little bit.
The thing I really wonder about is what kind of mentality Hartley is taking into this. Is he letting the red mist come? Is this going to be kind of a short track over racing thing where he pays him back, gives him that little bit of tip that moves him out of the way? So, I mean, I don't know the approach that Hartley intends to take here.
Boy, he likes to win, but he likes to race clean. And I think both these guys trust each other. Another stab underneath.
Oh, and a pass behind them. This time, Dam actually doing exactly what Hartley was trying to do.
Boy, but the runoff from Wallace has a chance into one. He's not going to be able to do it. Maybe we can get a quick look at the pass that Dam made, because I think it made.
Let's go to the leaders. Leaders are side by side right now.
Side by side.
And I think he's got it. Now, I think Fittis maybe gave that one up a little bit easily. Let's take a look at the replay. I'm curious if he lifted a little early, because he had the inside and he could have fought it hard into 5 and 6, Bill, but he didn't.
The white car, that's Hartley. And yeah, and then Fittis just kind of surrenders here. Maybe he realized he was not in the preferred spot. Lived to fight another lap, perhaps.
Could have been a little bit of guilt. Could have felt like he didn't really... I mean, he had to take the position at the start because it looked like Hartley was going to lose it to, was it Wallace behind in turn 2. But then when that didn't happen, I get the feeling, from what that looked like to me, Bill, and this is just speculation, I think Fittis was waiting for Hartley to get that one good run and say, okay, you've got the car there, I'm going to let you have it because of the move at the start.
A lot of history between these guys, and it's good history. It's good, friendly history. They like racing each other. Good race going back here. Boulafay has Wallace in front of him, and Paton, who's been back in 6th the whole time.
Boy, Wallace is starting to look like he was a cork in the bottle here, because he's already dropped back from Dam, and now, like you said, Boulafay starting to just apply a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, Mike Dam is the one driver who's worked his way through. He's gotten around both Boulafay and Wallace, and now has time with 4 minutes to go and within yelling distance of Fittis here.
Staying right on him. Oh, this is a great run, too, coming off the final corner. Let's see if Wallace goes defensive. Oh, he turns a little bit early, Bill, but this is trying to shut the barn door after the horse has already left. And somehow, wow. How did he hold that around the outside? I thought that was Boulafay's spot there.
Lesson learned. They continue to battle. We don't need to go there. I can just report that Kobayashi has opened up quite a bit on Fike. Fike able to do nothing with him. How about a quick touch back into 9th position just to check in on Caddy and Thorman and Miata. They continue to race in order.
Justin is one of my drives at the race. He started this thing in 17th, Bill, and looking at a top 10. That's a lot of positions gained on a track that we've been touting is hard to pass. Temperatures have been going down.
Let's go to 4th real quick. I think we have a run here from Boulafay down into 1. He's going to look to the outside. We saw a move here before. He's going to try it on the outside this time. Cannot do it. That's Wallace in front of him. Boulafay, I think, is faster.
Yeah, Joey looked for the over-under, but just couldn't get the power down soon enough, and this is not a long enough straight, really, to have that give you a good effect unless you really outgun the other driver. Just behind them, don't forget Baton. Again, we've seen a lot of drivers really try to snatch up spots as soon as others start to go side by side, and I think that's what David's waiting for. Take a look at the gap at the lead, though.
Yep. Once Hartley got around, it was see you later.
I thought I heard contact there.
I think
that looks like an engine blew based on that smoke.
Hammersack blew it, yeah. Out of the final corner, car number 24, and then I think he put it right in pit lane. He was racing last car on the lead lap, I believe.
That's a shame. Oof, defensive move from Wallace there.
It's the battle for 4th right now.
And this is costing them ever more time up to the podium. Mike Dam now a whole 2 seconds up from this group.
Boy, and Patton is back there looking for a way around. This is some good racing with a minute and a half to go. Oh, a bad exit out of that corner from Boulafay. I thought Patton might be able to get a run.
Yeah, he got a little greedy. It's so easy to do that in these hairpins. I found the car like to understeer quite a bit around them in these slow speeds. And Joey just pressed the gas way too soon.
Looks like Bob Hartley's going to be able to take the white flag. He's got a lapped car in front of him with Bradley Reed, but I don't think he's going to catch Reed in time. White flag, 1 to go for Robert Hartley, looking to pick up his 3rd win.
I'm really surprised we haven't seen more traffic come into play around this short circuit. But I think because we had so many cars have a problem on the first lap with damage, that took away many of the back numbers.
Hartley now down into the second 180. I think he actually may be able to catch the back of Bradley Reed here. We'll see what Reed does. Once the leaders cross the line, we're going to jump back to that battle for 4th between Wallace and Boulafay and Patton because that's heating up. Let's keep an eye, though, on Hartley as he works on the back now. This is always scary of Bradley Reed. I'll tell you right now, Bradley wants to finish on the relay. He's going to pull over. There's some good sportsmanship.
And this is our finish.
Coming out of the final corner now, it is Robert Hartley. He sees the checkered flag. Let's give round number 7 of the Advanced Mazda Cup to Robert Hartley. Let's go back to 4th position. Travis Wallace is going to be able to hold off Boulafay. Baton settles for 6th. Kobayashi beats Fike. I think, watch this, it's going to be fun out of here. Fike doing everything he can, Joe. Could not get it done.
No, but still, 8th place, not bad, because Fike also started in 14th, so he gained a lot of spots here by staying out of trouble.
Looking at 13th position, they're all going to come across Caddy, Miata, and Thorman. I think Miata was able to get around Thorman, so he picks up that spot to get a top 10. All right,
There's
everyone.
A battle for last place on the lead lap here. Zabelski looking on Eris, just shy, less than a car length.
Oh, let's move that start-finish line down another couple hundred feet, could we? All right, the racing is over here in Japan, but our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break, but we will be back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Don't go far. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Advanced Mazda Cup Round 7. Let's talk a little bit about iRacing. For a decade, they've been at the vanguard of esports racing, and if you haven't done so yet, you can join the iRacing community and compete online against thousands of players in the world's most realistic racing simulation. The best of the best in iRacing's World Championship, as well as many private leagues like the one you're watching right now, are showcased right here on the iRacing Esports Network. GSRC is proud to be part of the IESN stable of broadcasters. Let's give you the finishing order here for round 7. He started on the pole, lost the lead in the first corner, worked his way back up, got around Gene Fittis, and picks up his third win of the season. We're talking about Robert Hartley, our points leader. Gene Fittis set it for second. Mike Dam made a nice run through the field, started in 6th, picked up 3 spots to get that final podium spot. Travis Wallace, Joey Boulafay, and David Patton go 4th, 5th, and 6th. A battle for 7th between Hironi Kobayashi and Jordy Fike finishes in that order, as the Sheriff was not able to pick up a spot. Justin Caddy hangs on to 9th, but Atsushi Maeda does pick up the 10th position. Joe?
Chris Thorman is going to take 11th, and how about this from Adam McLeod, 23rd to 12th. Jason Welch as well climbed up the order from 19th to 13th, and Harrison Prochaska had a really good move early on, but was not without his issues. He still gets a 14th place. Jackson Robillard comes home in P15, with Eris Faria finishing 16th. Ryan Zawelski finishes P17. Then it's Bradley Reed coming home the first car a lap down at 18th. Thomas Hamrazak in 19th, and Matt Morris finishing in 20th.
In blackjack, it's Kotomiwa, John White in the double duck spot. Derek Holland comes home 23rd, right behind him, Otto Flitzler. And then it's Andres Bertoni in the final quarter century mark. Okay, there's your 25 finishers there, and let's go ahead and do interviews now, as we're able to talk to the driver who finished in second. That would be Gene Fittis, the New Zealand driver. We'll bring him down here in just a minute, give him a yell. Now we got Gene here. Gene, you had the lead for a while, picked it up in the first corner, then didn't fight that hard when Hartley was alongside you.
Hi, Soup. Hi, everyone in the booth. That's exactly right. I gave Rob a pretty good touch-up in turn 1 there, so when he got the nose alongside, I kind of just gave it up, considering the way I'd gained the lead earlier in the race.
My partner Joe Peak had that one nailed. He said, that felt like a little bit of a apology on your part. Nevertheless, a second place finish. Tell us a little bit about this track. It's fun to watch. Is it fun to drive?
It's very fun to drive. Maybe not so much if you're behind people that you want to get by. It's incredibly hard to pass here. It can be half a second or more faster than someone, and still really struggle to get by, in a clean fashion.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. It looked like the line you were taking when Hartley was behind you. I guess Hartley had the opportunity to take that wider entry. Were you taking a little shallow or take that inside mark, or was that just your normal racing line?
I felt like I was coming into the corners kind of from out wide and kind of parking it on the apex a little bit if possible, and just checking him up so he couldn't get a run coming out of the straights. But having said that, I was always in the back of my mind, thinking about that turn 1 touch up, and was never going to fight it too hard if he did get alongside. So
I'll get you out of here on this one. He made a couple stabs on you in that final corner, that final sweeping right-hander. That was a bit of a surprise for us. But then were you surprised that he got alongside you where he did?
No, because I knew exactly how much wheel spin I'd had coming out of that corner. So when he got the nose alongside, I wasn't too surprised at all, to be honest.
The writing was on the wall. Hey, congratulations for the second place finish. That's going to be good points. It's a strong strength of field. That'll move you up the charts. Way to go.
Thanks very much. Hey, have I got a minute just to say a couple of thank yous to some people? Cheers. I just wanted to say a big g'day to all the geodesic guys that are camped out on the infield at Daytona right now for the 24-hour. And hi to all their families back home. And we actually had a pretty awesome announcement just in the lead up to the iRacing Daytona 24-hour. And we're very happy and excited to have Alpine Stars on board now as our major title sponsor. And they've recognised the value of sim racing and esports, and have opened the door up to guys like us and potentially many others as well, which is a really awesome thing for sim racing as far as I'm concerned. And so a big shout out to Alpine Stars. ATK PLN is another new sponsor we got on board as well, and of course Simulator Cube Controls, Mike at In Principle Games. We just want to thank them all very much for the support of our team, and hi to my family back home. And yeah, that'll do it. Thanks a lot, Soup.
There you go. You guys are always welcome to get those plugs in. Another way that simulation racing mimics real-world racing. Got to get in those sponsor plugs. Joe, who you got?
I got Travis Wallace here, who managed to finish 4th today, just off the podium. And Travis, I'm curious because we were wondering how powerful the draft was, and it seemed like the first half of the race you were managing to stay with both Fittis and Hartley. Would you attribute that to the slipstream, or did you lose pace due to something else? Oh, looks like waiting Travis to get mic'd up. Looks like he's got himself muted right now, so we'll give Travis a second to try and get his mic working. Looks like we might get something here. Travis, you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you now. Had to work out the kinks.
Did you hear my question?
No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So it seemed like maybe the slipstream was helping you stay with the top two at the start, or is that a bad assessment? Was there another reason that you fell off partway through the race?
No, the slipstream down the backstretch definitely helped. My major weakness was that final corner. I especially about halfway through, I think I just got the left side tires too hot and I couldn't hold the line that I wanted to.
So after you fell off, suddenly you had Mike Dam working on you. We asked Gene about the surprise of Hartley trying to make a pass into turn 12. What about you? Were you a bit surprised to see drivers try to make a go into that fast right sweeper at the end of the course?
No, not at all. It's high speed. It's a great passing opportunity. I mean, you carry a lot of momentum in there, so you gotta make sure that you're going to hit the inside if you want to make a move on somebody. But no, when I seen it was Mike Dam behind me, I know he's faster. I basically just didn't want to lose time to the leaders and let the guys behind us catch up. I seen that he had pulled a gap. I just wanted it to be clean and quick and get back on the racing line. So I voiced him in the chat there and told him just to go ahead. I wasn't going to fight him.
Very polite racing on your part. So this is obviously a newer circuit here on iRacing, but very short compared to a lot of the schedule here in the Advanced MX-5 Cup. Would you like to see more short tracks like this that are almost bullring-like to race on, or do you prefer the long ones that give a lot of drafting opportunities?
Both of them give great racing. I mean, like you said, man, the tracks like Spa and stuff that started off the season, the drafting, it keeps everybody in a pack. But I think I enjoy the short ones like this more. It's more physical. Luckily, we didn't get in any trouble. But it's
you
more
guys
physical.
didn't.
Yeah. Speaking just for me there. But yeah, it's physical racing. It stays close. It's hard to pass, I'd say, would be the only downside to here. But it gives great racing.
Well, the upside to the difficulty in passing is it gave us a lot of tense moments out there. Congratulations on a 4th, and we hope to see you in a week's time.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That's Travis Wallace, the Carolina driver, taking home 4th. Bill?
That's going to do it for us. We'd like to thank everybody at the Advanced Mazda Cup community, especially the Sheriff, Jordy Fike, for supporting this broadcast, and of course the good guys at Recmotech. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. The original music that lets your ears alert your eyes you're watching a GSRC Productions comes courtesy of Eric Echolm and Julian Law, and see the screen to how to contact each of them. Hey, the Advanced Mazda Cup returns next week for round 8. We're going to stay in Japan, a 25-minute no pit stop sprint from Suzuka. GSRC via IESN will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. The next IESN broadcast is in just a few hours, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the Formula 3.5 Championship, Round 7 from Road Atlanta. Don't want to miss that. Hey, and don't forget about GSRC's coverage of the Grand Prix Legends from That's going to be round 7 from Donington Park. Tomorrow, my partner Joe Peak is going to be there with Johan Vanderbilt calling all the action. That's going to be live Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Sliding across your screen now are just some of the upcoming GSRC broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, you got lots of options. How about you visit GlobalSimRacingChannel.com or check us out on social media. Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Joe, Sean, and Dougie, like to thank all of you for watching as Robert Hartley gets his 3rd season win here at Tsukuba. With that said, we're off to have fun. Storm of the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.